Hello and welcome to this episode of the weekly Shakeout of Paula's Run Club with me, Paula Radcliffe.
And me, Christopher Thompson.
And a big thank you, as always, to HIGH5 for their sponsoring of this weekly Shakeout. Just remember that you can head along to the website high5.co.uk and make full use of the discount code Paula25 to get yourself 25% off all of their goodies. Particularly important at the moment, Thommo, as we are getting into winter training, layering up. I know it's freezing cold outside, but remember, you've got the heating on inside, you're layering up all those layers outside, you are still needing a lot of fluids replenished by the end of those runs. You are still losing a lot of fluids, so important to keep on top of the hydration. And it's a good time if you are thinking about a marathon coming up or even a half marathon. It's a good time to start experimenting ahead of time and find out what works for you in terms of your long run fueling.
Absolutely fantastic. Are you reading the first one?
I am. So we're going to get on with the interaction. Just a quick reminder at the top of the show, if you want to send in any questions, you can send us a voice note, you can send us a video note, or you can just text in to the number +44 7564 747 914, or you can email to paulasrunclub@momentumbroadcast.co.uk, or you can of course get in touch on socials. @paulasrunclub is the handle for all of those.
I want to add in as well. Do you know what as well? That we've done a couple of live pods now, and I've really enjoyed some of the questions revolving around personal questions, especially around you and your career. So if anyone's got questions on Paula's career or anything like that,
Why not you?
Because let's, you can ask me, but you're more interesting is my point. So I think we should have more questions.
Any questions that relate to anybody.
If they want to ask Paula about, I don't know, what was it like when she first met me, and just how amazing that was of a feeling back in 1998. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. So anyway.
I actually can remember that little kid who just kept asking questions.
Yeah, I know.
And then was running around with his Walkman, getting it snatched out of his hand.
Yeah.
Not by anybody trying to steal it, just because we didn't think that you should be running in it with it.
Yes, I know. How times have changed now.
Now there are people listening genuinely going, what's a Walkman?
I was going to say, what is a Walkman? Like, we should have asked that of Ennis, because she's probably young enough that she wouldn't know what. Maybe I don't know. I mean, and again, it's just a generation thing. It's not an intelligence thing. It's just what we got.
Yeah.
People won't know what even a dial-up is for internet.
No. Well, that sound of the fax.
Yeah. Dick. Anyway, right. Sorry. So, any question? Ask Paula what it was like in the 1970s.
And you can probably do better impressions of the fax machines than either of us can as well. Right. Let's get into the first question. This actually comes in from somebody who probably doesn't know what a Walkman is either. Harvey is 28 and getting ready for Valencia in 3 weeks. And he's got a practical question rather than a running related one, although I think it is fairly running related. I'm struggling not to need a wee during long runs. Obviously, if you have to stop, then you have to stop. But I'm also aiming for sub 3, and I think it will be tight. So I can't afford to waste a minute or so going to the loo, especially if you have to queue, or like in Tokyo, where you had to run 600 meters one way to actually find the toilets and then come back. So in the morning before my long run, I have 2 coffees and no water. So it's not like I'm drinking loads before, but only over the last 2 runs, I've had to stop. I didn't usually have to stop. How do you stay hydrated but not need to stop for a wee mid-run? And just for context, he would just really appreciate it if we could include it now, because Valencia is, of course, this coming weekend.
Well, this will drop on. Hang on, this drops on Thursday, so It's got 10 days before. So Valencia is next week, isn't it? Or is it this weekend?
So Valencia's the 14th. Valencia's the 7th, I thought.
7th.
It's this weekend.
Yeah, I'm getting my dates mixed up. So apologies. Yeah, we'll edit that. So So this will drop actually just in time, because one of the first thing that strikes my mind with this writing, and again, we have to kind of wade through some of the questions extended questions I like to ask, but one of the first things I would want to ask is, how close do you stop drinking before you go for a run? So ideally you want to, it's not just about eating, but it's also about drinking in plenty of time before you start doing the exercise, because for fueling it's around getting your stomach empty, but for drinking it's so that you can flush out any excess fluid out of your system. So I would tend to avoid, I mean, there's a difference between having hydrating fluid and the fluid that is in a fuel base. The fuel base thing is you can have a bit closer, but if it's actual hydration, so the fact you're not drinking is probably not a good idea. I would look to, and it's amped that we're sponsored by HIGH5, but have an electrolyte drink that you finish a good hour or possibly two before, so that kind of, you can kind of get all the excess fluid out of your system before you run. Because if you drink and go straight out the door, that's got to come out at some point, some of the excess. So I would finish drinking plenty of time before. The other point is, you're saying you're having 2 coffees. Now, I'm not, for me, if I have coffee, I do tend to wee quite
Well, it is a
afterwards.
diuretic, isn't it?
Yes,
So it will increase your
it will. So I
need to
wonder
wee.
whether you could reduce it, and 2, how soon before, because there's that balance. They do say coffee has a sweet spot of about 2 hours, but also if you're having it too close, you've also got to factor in the fact you'd need to go to the toilet. So I tend to try and finish mine a good hour and a half before, so that I can get everything out of my system before I start. So I think I don't, that would be my feeling, is that there's drinking the too much coffee before, too close should I say, and possibly don't be frightened to have drink, but have it plenty of time before, so that you flush it out, because it's to do, I would say it's to do with timing of when you're having these things for me.
Yeah, I think it's timing of that. It's the amount of caffeine, certainly. So 1 cup of coffee might be fine, but when you've bumped it up to 2, and then I would say just not even having water, air on the side of something in the water. So a hydration, definitely. Perhaps put some carbohydrates in there as you get closer to the race. So that's getting then locked into your muscles rather than going straight through and out through your system. I think the other thing to bear in mind, Harvey, is that when you are running fast, so you're aiming for a sub-3, once your body does start working at maximum, you'd be surprised about, you kind of tend not to think about the fact that you might need the loo until you've finished. Whereas when you're on a training run, you're not pushing as hard, so you're more aware of the fact that you do need to go. And once you actually start running hard in the marathon, you will forget about that, and it probably won't kind of pass through, because your body will concentrate on what it needs to do to keep you running at that pace, rather than other everyday, day-to-day ticking over and flushing things through your renal system. So that should help. Always leave it as late as possible. I'm very well known for doing that at races. Make sure that you have maybe somebody, friend or family, standing in the queue for you, just to make sure that you can leave it as late as possible before you go into your start pen, and so you can kind of empty your bladder fully before you actually get underway.
And I've just looked up the weather as well for this weekend, and it is going to be high teens to maybe even touch 20 degrees.
Yeah.
So again, it really is important. Don't be frightened of peeing at the expense of hydrating.
Yeah.
The key will be to just drink, like I say, take it on, think about electrolytes, and do it in plenty of time before the race.
Yeah.
And as Paul is saying, caffeine is, especially around hot temperatures, I wouldn't say there's kind of like an exponential kind of avoidance there of don't overdo the coffee, especially when it does get hotter, because that's an excess stress on your heart you don't need. So yeah, I would, like I say, especially if you're based in the UK where it's cold.
Yeah, well, that's the
it'd be
other
a
point
shock.
as well. If it's talking about it only being the last couple of runs, actually, as it gets colder, that does certainly, I don't know if this is actually a fact, but it does for me. If it's cold weather, then I actually find that I'm more likely to need to go for a wee just before I go out for a run. So perhaps that has had some sort of factor on it. And certainly I do think in warm conditions in a marathon, the onus, as Thomas just said, the onus is on making sure that you're hydrated enough. It's unlikely that you'll actually need to stop in warmer conditions, no matter how much you're drinking. So keep sipping on something. Just make sure it's not plain water, and go easy on the coffee beforehand.
It's like, I don't know if you've noticed this, Paul. I know you're not based in the UK, but as the temperature drops, the tire pressure lights comes on.
Oh,
because the air in the tire is changing, and it's and exactly what you just said. My bladder's relationship going from hot and cold is like, the amount of times I've come back from a run and it's freezing. I step in the door, the heating's on, and literally it's like everything relaxes to the point it's like, I've got to go toilet suddenly because my bladder's just relaxed suddenly. It's gone from extremely cold to
I love
extremely
the way
relaxed.
you've
It's
just
like,
made an analogy between your bladder and the car's tyres.
well, when I was talking to you on the phone and I said, did I say to you my tyre light came on and I needed to check it when I
Yeah,
was on the way to the airport, and it went off, and it's because the
the colder
temperature
weather.
of the air. But we had that conversation, so that's why I've gone there, because you've yeah, it does sound a bit random, but it's like it's
It's a good point. It is a good point. Temperatures matter. And the most important, if you are headed to Valencia, Harvey, is to make sure that you do stay hydrated and have a good run. So please let us know how you get on. And good luck to everybody else, including Alex Yee, who has been on the podcast in the past, who is racing in Valencia this weekend.
yeah. What do you think he'll do?
What did he say? Did you see the thing where his watch predicted the time that he's capable of? And it was sub 2:05.
Yeah, no, it was 2:05.
Or 2:05 something.
I saw that post. The thing that confused me was that it also predicted 61 flat for half. So unless things have changed, like I don't know how they've worked that out. And again, you have to put this into context. This was a watch that predicted it, which is never a good thing to kind of like set your hat on or set your stall out on. But those times comparisons, like the marathon was 2:05, the half was 61, and the 10k was 28 flat, and I forget what the 5. But like I was a bit like kind of that times have changed, if that's accurate. And I'm not saying he can't run 2:05, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I did see a quote that he said, and again I assume it was his quote because you never know what you're reading half the time. He said this is his last chance to give it a full whack, and if it doesn't go well, he's going to stop doing marathon, which would be a shame because I do think he probably could run well inside 2:10. It's just putting it all on at this point is probably. I bet he comes back to it whatever he runs. I bet whatever he does, he'll come back and he'll run even quicker in the future. But he has got triathlon to think about, so.
Which is why, he's having fun with it, and I think that's really, really important.
What time do you think? Go on, I'm going to get you to say a time.
Oh my God, I do think he can go sub 2:10. I do think Valencia on a good day, it's a great course, and I am also backing Alex not to get sucked in to going too fast too early, which is a big danger because of the quality of the field that is in Valencia. I'm building up to that. Give me a chance. I'm actually going to go with 2:8 mid.
Okay. I was purely because his training partner ran 2:7. I was going to go 2:7.
Yeah. So
but again,
round about the same area.
it links to when something predicts 2:5, you've got to have margin for error of something happening. So it's like with anything in a marathon, like there's the top end, everything goes well, and then you factor in a few things that might not happen, and then you end up at like 2:7, 2:8. But yeah, it would be. He certainly, if he's run 2:11 in London, straight away from London to Valencia, you're going to gain a couple of 2-3 minutes just from the course improvement. But yeah,
and I think also your body gets wiser after the first marathon. Your mind gets wiser, and you learn a few lessons. So you've got to come through a little bit.
Wiser me, and learn from the first one is probably. It took me after my first marathon, London 2:11. Took me, how long did it take me? 10 years to run a PB. So I'm not sure if I applied wise to my marathon career.
Anyway, good luck to Alex. And let's hope that he goes out and absolutely smashes it. And most of all, enjoys that run out there.
He's a good lad. He'll smash it.
So the next one comes in from Jack, and Jack says, "Hi, Paul and Chris. I'm 37 and I did my first half marathon a few weeks ago. I'm so proud of myself. I did it in 2 hours, 21 minutes. Shout out to you. Thank you for the podcast. I'm addicted to it. My next goal is a half in March and the Brighton Marathon in April. I'm looking for any advice on carb loading. I'm just worried that I'm going to flake out towards the end because I have a gastric sleeve and I can't eat too much. The half did go really well, and according to plan, I didn't have any bad stomach, didn't need the loo if you know what that means, and I had only just started running properly this year. I also have done a few 10Ks, one 10K a few years back, but I was 24 stone at the time, and I did that in 1 hour 28. Then he wraps up. So that is the question, basically. How is he going to manage the fueling and the carb loading through to a full marathon? He's done the half without any problems, but he's got to manage the full marathon, Thommo, with a gastric sleeve. He also wants to know when we can have a Chris episode like we had a Paula one.
I
So I
mean,
guess that's my reflections of New York. So we will absolutely. I feel like we've kind of got one maybe coming on Monday in a little bit of the European cross country reflections, but we should do a more in-depth one of Tomo's best ones, and definitely a flashback on Q, because I think that's one we have to go back onto.
yeah, crikey, yeah. I think I can just about talk about that now without crying. But
It's all right,
um,
crying's good.
is it so? But do you know much about gastric sleeve to be able to answer that
I'm
properly?
just thinking, did we not have a little bit from Wendy on this? I
Wendy,
thought,
or you mean Adele?
oh, was it Adele? That's right. Adele
Because
talked about it, didn't
a
she? Yeah.
what's the
I
difference with a
feel like
gastric sleeve and the thing that Adele has? I forget what it's called.
they're very different, but actually probably fairly similar in managing it. So Adele's she's had part of her colon removed, hasn't she, because of the
Yeah,
cancer. So she has to manage what does she call it? Audrey, the stoma bag.
yeah.
So she has to manage that throughout it, and her stomach can get overloaded if things can't empty through fast enough, and it can kind of back up, I think. Whereas a gastric sleeve is to help you lose weight, and it's stopping you basically taking on too much. So
Okay.
I think my big advice here, Jack, would be little and often, and kind of try and focus. And I think this is where Adele talked about it. She has to get it from liquids. Is that what she
Hmm.
said? She has to basically get liquids through, and they have to have a very high uptake rate from her stomach, because once it's gone through, she's not going to be able to get anything from it. Whereas Jack, you will be able to absorb things once they've passed out of your stomach. So the key thing for Jack is to not overload the stomach, because it is obviously smaller now because of the sleeve.
So it almost might be a smart thing to do rather than waiting every 5K to take on a decent amount. It's like little and not like you say. It's like
Yes.
sipping. It's almost like taking every 2.5K maybe and doing
Yeah.
half the gel and then the
Smaller
other
amounts.
half at 5, something like that. But again, this is where again I feel like, and this is it's interesting of learnings like, and we've been through this. Sometimes there's almost like a bit of a trial and error for that person on that unique scenario, because I think finding that sweet spot, without, for lack of a better word, sweet spot, the
Yeah.
gel. Yeah, you got me. Yeah.
Got
Sorry,
you.
I actually didn't mean that when I said that, but it's finding that right amount to get the balance between not little and often, but also that not causing too much of a repercussion for your stomach, but also the constant messaging, because people I think can sometimes forget that by just having a gel or any kind of fueling in your mouth, that sends positive messages, which can also then that happening too often without actual fuel getting in can be quite confusing for the body. So I think I mean, I know you're saying keeping it liquid based. I think I would assume for him it's going to be really important to mix it up,
Yeah. Yeah.
almost like having the odd gummy or something just to mix up the flavor, because if you're taking something on so frequently, it's that can be almost a bit much for someone. It's kind of mixing up fuel without it,
Yeah.
but for the same desired effect, but just to mix up the texture and the taste in the mouth so it doesn't become too sickly, because feeling sick can also be linked to the taste rather than what's actually going in your stomach, can't it? So that would be my kind of thought process to find that sweet
Yeah,
spot.
I think just remember that when we're saying little and often, that means obviously you kind of get given these rough target areas, don't you, of how much you should be taking on every 5K. So you need to be going less than that, but a little bit more often.
Mm.
Obviously, practice it in the long runs as well. It might be that actually running with a kind of one of those, what do you call them? Camelbacks, the bladder packs, kind of on your back that you can just sip on little and often, and making it strong. Remember, you've got to be on the hydration, but make it fairly strong on the carbs as well, so that that gets through and into you in time. Might be worth carrying some little sugar shots in some way, like gel packs or dextrose tablets or sweets that you can suck on, just to help give you a little bit extra if you are, as you say, starting to feel like a bit flaky at the end, just to keep you focused there. And maybe see if you can get some friends and family on the route to kind of recharge you, so you've not got to carry it all with you.
And I think certainly pace is important. Like
Yeah.
trying to keep control of the pace will enable you. I know that might mean it taking longer or more time on feet, but I think fuel is linked to it's not a great example, but it kind of, if you're in a car, there's an optimum speed for burning the fuel. If you go too fast, you burn it too quickly. You might get further down the road, but you will stop earlier and need petrol sooner. So you won't get as many miles out of the car by driving it as fast. And if you drive it too slow, it's the same thing. So there's a balance with fuel and the speed you run to get the furthest distance out of that car. And it's the same for us, getting that balance right between going too slow or too fast and getting the optimum distance from the amount of fuel you're taking. So please just bear that in mind as well.
Perfect. Right, so moving on. Next one is from Harriet, and good luck, of course, to
Yes,
Jack.
good luck.
Let us know how it goes again. Right, the next one from Harriet, Thommo.
Am I reading this one?
Yeah.
Sorry. Hi, Paul and Thommo. Sorry for the long email. No problems at all. It's a good job I'm reading it because I'm really good at long emails. I absolutely loved. I absolutely loved the podcast. Not anymore. No, I'm joking. Start again. I absolutely loved the podcast, and I'm so glad a friend recommended it when she heard I was training for my first marathon, Malaga, on the 14th of December. Yes, we're just around the corner from there. I started running when my dad dragged me to a Couch to 5K in 2018. I caught the bug and lost motivation during the pandemic and spent a few years running just once a week. This year I decided to get back at it, up things to twice a week, and then in a preemptive 30th birthday crisis entered Malaga as it falls the week after my birthday.
Which means happy birthday.
Now, happy birthday. Yes, excellent.
Coming up.
It turned out to be the best decision. It gave me a purpose again, and I've completely fallen back in love and absolutely hear things like that. And it's the same for me as well. It's exactly what gets me out the door. To avoid losing that love, I purposely didn't follow a formal plan. Instead, I made my own weekly 3Fs, approaching something fun, something fast, and something far. Brilliant.
I love that.
Awesome. This is great. I love this. Fun was social or off-road runs. Fast came from local fell, trail, and later road races, and far was simply tackling extra miles onto club runs, taking them from 7 to 8 miles up to 14 to 18. It transformed my running. I've averaged around 30 miles a week since July, peaking at 40, and I've taken 4 minutes off my 10k time and 8 off my half.
Wow.
This is revolutionary, this.
I love this.
As it's my first marathon, my original goals were simple: don't get injured, keep enjoying running, and made me sneak under 3 hours 53, my dad's PB. Cheeky. But after a good training block, including a 2 hour 35 20 mile in September and a couple of recent 1 hour 32 half marathons, I'm now wondering how fast I could go. How fast should I aim, while still making sure I enjoy the experience by not going too fast? The issue is that I haven't really trained to specific paces. I'm much more used to undulating routes where I can recover and remotivate on the downhills. Very good. I've only done one long flat effort, 18 miles with 2 7-mile blocks at 7:30 pace, which was mentally brutal but character building. I feel like 3 hours 30 might be possible, but the paranoia is real and I want to enjoy the day. My first question is, how would you pace your first marathon when you haven't tried to run to time or pace? My second question is shorter. I have a club place spot for London April. I'm planning 3 weeks off before starting a new 16-week block. I want to broadly stick to the 3Fs approach, add some track sessions and more flat long runs with marathon effort sections. Is there anything else you'd recommend to help me build on whatever time I run in Malaga? I really want to do my club proud. Your podcast has been such a source of inspiration. I've been recommending it to everyone while listening to it on repeat. Thank you for everything. Harriet, what a great email.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. Paula.
So good. So where do we start? I'm actually going to start with the first question because it's fair enough. And I think that you've already come into it with such a great base. I absolutely love the fun, fast and far approach.
Yeah.
You've ticked all the bases. That's all you need to do. And the most important one is that first one. So I would say put a big underline on that in your diary. And every time that the paranoia starts to creep in, just remind yourself, this is something fun. This is something that I signed up for because I was inspired and excited to do it. And I'm looking forward to it. The paranoia is a good sign. It means it's important to you and it matters to you how well you do it. And you have put all of that work into training. So I would recommend another read back over your training diary. Just look at that progress, which you've just laid out for us there in terms of how much quicker you've gotten. You're good 20-mile run, your personal best in the half, and all of those things. And that means that you're coming into this ready to go out there and have fun. So I would really not look at the clock. That would actually be my advice at this, and run to feel. You know what that 20-miler felt like. I would bet that if you had to and you were rested down and fresh for that 20-miler, you could have carried on and finished the full distance that day. So kind of go out and pace it towards that in this one. Take some encouragement from the people around you. We've said time and time again that marathon community is amazing. They will help you to get through that. So that would be really my big advice. Go out, tune into your body, believe in everything that you've done in preparation, keep that mindset, have fun out there, and also have a little bit of a risk as well, because it is the first one. And if you get it a little bit wrong, you're only going to learn from that and come back stronger. But I don't think you will, because I think you're going in with a brilliant mindset, a great base of training behind you. And so long as you tap in to, I'm going to lay it all out, get to halfway, feel good, and basically spread my effort out over this 26.2 miles and finish with a big smile on my face, I think you're going to go out and smash it. And please let us know how you get on and enjoy your birthday, and then be back. So for the second part of the question, I think that is great. You've basically ticked the box that I would have put in when you said you're going to take a 3-week break after Malaga. Absolutely perfect. If that 3-week needs to be 4 weeks, no problem at all, because you have this base to build on into London. So I was saying, I don't know what you're going to add here, Thommo, but if you've done a marathon build and then you take a good break, I would sometimes say 12 weeks is enough. So you can focus on recovering from Malaga and then getting back into, again, enjoying, keeping the emphasis on the fun. The long runs, you're already starting from a higher point. So that far isn't going to need to build up as far. So just keep doing what you're doing. Listen to the podcast and we'll help guide you through it, and maybe come along and join us on one of the physical shakeouts that we're going to have going on, because I do really think your mindset is brilliant, and I'd like to have the permission to use that sometimes in recommending what's most important in the training week.
No, I absolutely love it. It's the what she's done there is very cleverly kind of made that entry into the sport, or re-entry, should I say, in this case. It's really ticked the right box of falling in love with what you're doing, rather than forcing. So that when she did actually have that aim, the foundation was already set in stone in so many ways. And I think that's where it's it really does tick every box that we talk about. I think the only thing I was going to add about the pace for this race is, and the Maranoia thing, I would really try to take your mind back to how you felt in those 2 or 3 days before you did that 20-miler, and how you felt in that moment, because you're not trying to do anything different in how you get yourself to that, ready to go out for that door, out to run. Yes, it's a race day, but fundamentally the markers still shouldn't change. I mean, you might be a little bit more rested, you might kind of have a bit of travel, there might be a few little things changing, but mentally and physically the challenge doesn't actually change. So take yourself back to that point, so that when you went out for that training run and how you felt for that first 10k, 5k, apply that to the race itself, and just, as Paula mentioned, try not to get wrapped up in time, and try and get your zone out into that marathon, that fun marathon kind of run, and try and make it feel as much like you're on a training run as possible, because when it's time to feel like a race and you're in that battle, it will happen, but you don't need to feel like that on the start line. Absorb the funness of it, but just make it feel like you've just got a lot of training partners rather than racing partners. And the other bit, again to you, Paula, 12 weeks is, you've already come off the back of a run. I think the temptation is, and because it's your first, and I actually would land on this advice, and this is where, again, it's advice, it's not telling you. Quite often we think we have to reinvent a wheel when we get something that's working, and when it's that short of a turnaround, I think going through 2 similar build-ups is probably good enough for now, would be my advice. You don't need to do anything more or extra. The temptation is to say, if you're running 40 miles a week, what will do 50? But I think if you get through this block in Malaga, have a 2, 3, 4 week break, repeat what you did as broadly speaking as you can into London, you'll get improvement just going through that process again and then reassess. The temptation is always to keep adding, and yes, you can do that over time, but have that, my suggestion would have that in the back of your mind that in the future you could do that, but just adding a block of work on top of a block of the work that's quite similar is not a negative. It's actually a positive, especially at this
especially
point
early on. Definitely.
That's my point.
I think that's so key. So come on then, Thommo, how long did you take off after a marathon? I took 3 weeks completely off.
Well, it changed with the shoes. So when exactly my first ever marathon. Oh, actually, do you know what? Oh, crikey. Do you know what I did after my first ever marathon? I ran a 10K on the track because it was the European trials.
I do remember you doing that. I think I was there.
Yeah, and I got injured. Yeah, that's right. So
that's what not to do.
Well, this is the fun. I think I took 2 weeks off, and then I did, and then I got back into it. But it was really tough, and I had marathon legs for a good 6-7 weeks, and I did get injured, and it I don't want to say it's linked to going back too soon. I think it was more the fact I got back too quickly rather than too soon. But after when the carbon shoes came in, and I ran my London Marathon in my last one in 2023, so I ran 2:11 10th. I ran a 10K 2 weeks later, but I didn't do a huge amount of running. But again, and this is not to copy, it was because it just the shoe recovery after the shoes changed things massively for me. So this is not, I don't condone either of those actions. I'm just being honest with what I did, and I don't think that was extreme, and that neither of them were particularly smart. But historically, after Kew Gardens, and that was with carbon, I reckon I had about 3 weeks completely off. But then I had just become a dad, so I was knackered.
Exactly. That's why I think it's so important to take the time off after it. It's not as much for the physical recovery, although that is really important. It's also for that mental and psychological recovery. That means that when you do start back, you're ready and you're excited to get out there. You're not kind of resenting it or feeling weary in any way coming into it. You're really fresh and ready to attack that next round. And I think that is so, so important. So use that 3 weeks to look back on all of the things that you've been through in this build up for Malaga, the great points of that, spend some time with your friends and family, get through Christmas, and then think about getting ready back into some easy runs and then starting the build.
You could apply the recovery 3 F's: fun, friends and family.
Yeah. There you go.
That's the recovery one.
There we go. Recovery F's and the racing and the training F's.
The training F's. It's starting to sound like
a lot of F's.
A lot of F's. There's a lot of F's in this. But yeah, the recovery F's.
So
fun,
finally,
family, friends. Sorry.
Finally, good luck.
Yes, finally, good luck.
To Harriet, and a very happy birthday as well. I think we need to say that once more, because it's not often we get somebody writing in, although we did have somebody who ran a personal best, didn't we, on their birthday not too long ago. Thank you so much to everyone. I think that's about all that we've got time for this week. Yeah. So once again, thank you to everyone for writing in. Please do keep those questions coming in. Quick reminder of the WhatsApp number, +44 7564 747 914. The email address is paulasrunclub@momentumbroadcast.co.uk, and on socials it is at Paula's Run Club. A huge thank you once again to HIGH5 for sponsoring this weekly shakeout, and a quick reminder again of that discount code Paula25 that you can use on their website high5.co.uk. That is all. Very best of luck to anybody running in Valencia, of course, at this weekend, and then on to the European Championships. Don't forget to listen into the Innes Fitzgerald interview, which drops on Monday, and we will see you next week.
Take care.